There are 1,000,000 ways to die. We just wanna talk about it. Codeheads.
All right. Well, here we are on
Yes.
Codeheads 2.0.
Wow.
Yes.
We've made it.
Yeah. We're big time now. Our second podcast.
Very exciting.
But we've had some exciting feedback on our first, and so we're gonna keep on keeping on.
Yep, momentum.
I do have to check. What is that on your lapel there, Michael?
Oh, didn't even realize I was wearing it, Bridget. This is a save pin. So in EMS, when we obtain ROSC after working a very difficult cardiac arrest, we're rewarded with one of these pins. So I think it's a good reminder about why we're here. We want to talk about the 1,000,000 ways people die and all the treatment, and because this is our goal, right?
Yeah.
We want a good neurological outcome. I have so many of these, I wouldn't know where to begin, but
Well, you are amazing. Just another life.
but yes. So
But actually,
I wear it.
what a lovely little reminder, because there's so many times that we do stuff, we intervene on patients, and especially EMS, you guys respond to so many different calls, and some end up not being true SCAs. But what a great thing, because you put so much energy and effort, and you work so hard in training. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that.
It is good. It's just a pin, but honestly, it was always appreciated afterward to receive it.
Yeah, because it's more than that. It's the symbolism of it. That's really cool.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, in that same vein, because we are talking about resuscitation, ROSC, all those good things, I think we wanted to chat today about ventilation during CPR. And should we be doing it? Should we be focusing on it? What's really the science? So the guidelines do give us guidance and suggestions on how we should implement and have ventilation within our resuscitation responses, both in hospital, pre-hospital, and then for lay people. But what's the science behind it? What does it say? What should we do?
Just one thing it ties into, which is interesting, is our discussion last week about pause. And the ventilations require a pause unless you have an advanced airway in place where they'll be asynchronous. But when we're, 30 to 2, we are getting our hands off the chest, assuming we're alone, or even if we're together, the hands come off the chest to provide the synchronous ventilations. So that ties in with our pause once again. And so it's really important to determine if these ventilations are necessary and when.
Right. And I did kind of a deep dive into the research and looking at all the various studies, because we know that there's so much research related to resuscitation and looking at outcome, but it's all so nuanced, and they're usually looking for one piece of the puzzle at a time. So when I went to go look in and do a deep dive about ventilation, there was a large scale clinical study, and it said that there was no difference with taking longer than a 10-second pause, even for ventilations. And I thought that was wild, because there's clearly research showing that the 10-second pause during compressions drops your cerebral perfusion pressure, and it plummets, and then it's so difficult to get back up.
And yes, not 10 seconds for both of us just makes us edgy, right? That's such a long time. And we discussed this last week. And that's why it's really difficult for me to maybe accept such research that allows for 10 seconds for ventilation, when I don't even know how it can take 10 seconds.
Well, I think,
how do two breaths take 10 seconds?
I think if someone has a pocket mask with a one-way valve, like if it's a layperson or whatever, or just me walking down the street with my pocket mask in my pocket, that's going to be a little easier to, I guess, if there's someone with me. If I'm by myself, though, and I'm getting off the chest to go then put the pocket mask in place and then get a good seal and give a solid breath, I think that does take a little bit of time. 10 seconds, probably not. But I'm also of the mindset, if I'm not feeling like I'm getting that breath in, or it's taking too long, I'm just aborting mission.
Absolutely.
I'm not wasting my time.
We tried twice, we're done.
Yeah. And for lay people, when I train, I show them how to use a pocket mask, how to get a seal, and how to give a breath. But I also train them don't stress about it. I would rather have you focus on compressions. And if you're worried about giving breaths, don't. Whatever's going to get you to do it. So it's interesting. And in hospital, it can take a while if we have someone that we need to bag mask. So if we have the bag valve mask, look at you. With the
I always
baby
carry
valve.
one.
Well, that's why we're friends. Well, Mike just walking around with his safe pin, his BVM. You're like Carrot Top for resuscitation. But regardless, if we have the BVM, that can be difficult if you don't do it all the time.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I brought it, because I did want to talk about that in a bit or whenever we get to it. The BVM needs some time.
Well, I think let's tackle it. We're here.
Okay. Continue where you were going, though.
Well, it's just one of those skills that if you're not doing it a lot, it's going to be hard to get a seal. And I feel like when we train in the hospital, when I'm training all the nurses and all the staff responding during mock codes, and especially in situ mock codes, if they're the one on the airway, they kind of get obsessed. That's their job and they feel like they need to complete it. And yeah, it's their job. It's what their assigned role is right now before anesthesia gets there, before we get an advanced airway. And it's so hard to get that seal on our mannequins. It's got the circular mouth and a hard face, but in real life, there's saliva, there's mustaches, there's faces that are not like a mannequin,
Jowls, beards, emesis.
Lower. Yeah, it's not easy to get that thing in place, hold it there and get a good seal. And so I feel like it's just like anything else that you want to complete. They're like, hold on. And no, let's not. Like you said before, two tries and then we're out.
Yes. You took the words right out of my mouth, because what I notice in class and in real life is this is an unwieldy item. It really is. And it takes a lot of practice to utilize, especially if you're alone. If you have no assistance getting that seal, which is the most important part, or this isn't going to work. If you're alone, it is EC, clamp, head tilt, chin lift, and a mannequin. Ooh, there goes the chest rise and fall. Look at me. But when it is a real human, even if I'm doing the technique perfect, I am not necessarily ventilating adequately. And I don't get to see that reward of chest rise and fall. But that doesn't mean it's like, all right, I almost got it. Just give me a few minutes. I'm going to get it. Like you said, I understand that. And I especially appreciate the verb you used, abort, because that's same word I used during a class. Someone will get it and I'll be like, if you didn't see chest rise and fall, it's okay. It's okay. You tried to ventilate, didn't work. It doesn't speak to your skill set. We could correct it if it does, but ultimately 1, 2, back on the chest, right?
Right.
And this requires practice. And even if you have another person out of hospital, 9 out of 10 times I was alone with this. And I didn't see much chest rise and fall in all my years. I'll be honest. It doesn't mean, because it's not that easy to see. Again, on our mannequins, you can see it.
Right.
On a 350-pound gentleman, a lot of chest hair, sweat, I might not see this in a moving vehicle. So I love the BVM. I love talking about it and teaching it. But it's important to know that you're not always going to get in real life what you see on the mannequin or in the videos. So
and I think,
get back to work on the chest.
yeah. Do the compressions. But it's also, I think my how I teach and train with breaths has also changed over the years for a couple of reasons. I think originally it was always like, oh, we were worried that people were giving too much and causing all this barotrauma. And so I would always warn people about don't cause barotrauma. Don't, the entire, don't push it all in. That's too much tidal volume, which it is, right? But realistically, no one's getting a seal, right? So it's all
yeah.
So if we're getting 100 milliliters, great.
It's a great point.
I mean, just don't.
You can feel it come out the sides of the mask.
And you can hear it. I mean, it's just not working. And then it started becoming well, now I'm watching people and, when we do an advanced airway, my focus becomes that people will hyperventilate patients. And that is still a realistic concern. I'm going to say fear. I'm not fearful of it, but it's a concern. Yes. We see it. Yes. And it's hard to give one breath every 6 seconds.
Oh, it's an eternity between. You feel like you're doing nothing, you know?
Yeah.
I gave one. Now it's like,
yeah. Right.
Should I be doing something?
Yeah, and you're not. And so
No.
it's like normal that when you watch someone doing compressions really fast, it's like patting your head and tapping your stomach or whatever it is, or rubbing your belly and tapping your head. It's hard to watch someone do compressions really hard and fast, and you're sitting there like, boop.
That's true. That is true.
Like people start going in sync with the person they're watching.
And the adrenaline.
Yes. So, and that's a concern. And that is a concern for barotrauma too, right? Because then if they are going over what the average amount that you usually want to give in is around 500.
Yeah, we could be blasting them with way more with this giant bag.
Correct. And you want to, and that's why they say look for chest rise, but you're right. It's hard to see chest rise. And so when you're in the ACLS mode, like using end titles, and like all these other things are great, the advanced monitoring. But taking a step back, and when we're just focusing on the initial response, and before we have an advanced airway, you have nothing else to work with other than chest rise.
No. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I like the way you put it, where the compressor's just working, and you're looking at them like, what the hell am I doing? I want to do something too. But one thing I wanted to mention with this is, so on your BVM for, people that work on the field know about it, but people that aren't familiar, this connects to oxygen. So you have high flow oxygen, and this would be off. So say it's an advanced airway. Now I'm connected to the endotracheal tube. If I'm going crazy and this is flowing high, I'm not just worried about hyperventilation. I'm worried about hyperoxygenation and the oxidative stress that puts on the organs, where I'm already dealing with vulnerable tissue, say an MI, and I don't want to make matters worse. And that's what I can be doing, right? Obviously, I just got ROSC, and I don't want to I want them to be okay. Like ROSC is great, but you want them to leave neurologically intact. And it's why it's good, team dynamics and such is good, because we need to talk to each other and make sure we're all doing it correctly, in a tactful way. But I just wanted to remind people of what this can do. And quick side, a pulmonologist at the hospital where I work, he wanted to add hyperinflation as a sixth H for the H's and T's. And specifically, though, speaking to what you said, it's when they have an advanced airway in place, because when they don't, we could squeeze that bag, but it's going everywhere. Some's getting down there, and that's a good thing. And it's still a concern, but not maybe as much as it's been attributed to cardiac arrest treatment at that level, basic level, where there's no advanced airway in place.
Yeah. And I feel like it's such a focus in BLS and initial CPR courses. And I just feel like it doesn't need to be.
Guilty as charged. That's how I taught it.
Yeah. And that's why I've kind of shaped my mind and how I look and think about it now over the years, because it just seems like it's not as big of a concern as it was. It's almost like when we were growing up, I grew up really fearful of quicksand. There is no.
I think everyone in that era
actually experienced it in my whole life, but I was always like, "Oh my god, is it quicksand?" Because every cartoon had quicksand.
Right. No, it was a 50-50 shot of going out that way.
Right. And it's the same with the either a pocket mask or a BVM. Like, we're not going to cause any issues, but other than we're going to cause an issue by increasing the pause, by not doing compressions. And that's where we're causing risk for our patients. I did want to ask you, actually, because you have more EMS experience than I do, is how often do you see PEEP with EMS responses? Or do you think that's something that we should move to in the future? Or do you know if the future is already now?
Well, I have been off the ambulance for 7 years. So some things have changed. They have video laryngoscopy, for example, which I would have killed for that. But slight digression. PEEP, we would only utilize PEEP on patients that were often on CPAP for a transfer. Okay. But on this, I keep bringing it out. These come with a PEEP valve now, when I have. And that's pretty cool, because if people don't know what PEEP does, simplified, it's a splint for your lungs. And with the aim of avoiding atelectasis, complete, not leaving any air left at the end of expiration. So it's pretty important. But that's also something that not a lot of people know about. They hear a PEEP, but they don't know maybe the numeric values that are attached to it. So to answer your question though, Bridget, no, we seldom used it, and mostly because our transport times were pretty quick getting into Boston, and we were two people managing a code alone. And I'd love to have some PEEP thrown in there, but I'm just trying to survive.
Yeah, no, I totally
get them to the hospital where they have the people and the resources and the acumen to handle it.
Right. And also, there's some really cool BVMs actually that have come out recently that actually only let you they only reinflate. When you give a breath, it only reinflates it takes 6 to 10 seconds to reinflate. So you actually can't over ventilate your patient. Yeah, which I think is a really cool.
That is, I mean, oh, I really like that idea. I mean, that's great that that's out there. I never heard of that. I mean, we could use something in place to stop us. It's important.
It's really cool because it actually, you see people in mock codes. I used it at a conference and I pulled it in. I was like, hey, can I grab one of those? And so they gave it to me to use at a mock code that I was running. People were getting so pissed because they wanted to they're like, something's wrong with this thing. And I was like, you want to give a breath too quickly.
Oh, wow.
And it was pretty amazing. I was like, this is awesome.
I vote for that. And also it trains you if you're not using one with that. So you train on that, you'll have a better technique. Muscle memory in place. Wonder, I think I'd like to purchase some of those for future training.
No, I love it because it won't let you.
Right.
It won't let you hyperventilate your patient, which is, sometimes we need those reminders.
At any level we do. Yeah.
Because we don't want to do something that's going to cause worse outcome for our patients during, cardiac arrest, obviously.
And we all know hyperventilation is very damaging when you have that advanced airway in place, when everything is entering, because you've secured the airway. We're hitting the trachea 100%. And we all know decreased cardiac output, intrathoracic pressure, decreased preload, all definitely reducing our chances of ROSC.
Yeah. And I do remind people sometimes, oxygen kills. If we're giving
it's free radical.
Yeah. And people stare at me and I'm like,
right. That's intuitively. Right. Intuitively, I'm like, ooh, more air, more oxygen. All right. It's like, I wish it worked that way. Luckily, I've read some things to tell me otherwise,
right.
to challenge my intuition.
So I'd be interested to kind of find out what the masses are kind of doing with their teaching and if we're with like-minded folks, if other people think the way we do and teach the way we do. So hopefully we'll hear from some of our listeners in the masses. And
really, that's what we're after. We're after some insight, some input.
We are. We want more Codeheads.
That's why we're here. We don't want to be alone.
We don't. You know what we want?
That's right. Right.
There are 1 million ways to die. We just wanna talk